r/AskReddit. What strange idea worked? Because people are weird. Wikipedia. It took a long time to become a high quality source. But the desire of people to correct misinformation is so strong that once there was a high volume of information, the quality gradually surpassed that of traditional encyclopedias. It's amazing that it worked. I remember writing most of the article on Jackalope and a good chunk of the one on mosh pits back in 2003 when they were both stubs. Is this what it's like to be famous? There's a store here in Seattle on Aurora Avenue called the Purple Store. Everything they sell is purple. It's been there for years. Sales skyrocketed when Prince died. Not even joking. Over here in Minneapolis, sometimes it's hard to tell if something is a Vikings gift shop or a Prince gift shop. Twitch plays Pokemon. Twitch plays Pokemon was beautiful. Taking forever to cut trees. Spending 12 hours trying to cross that one ledge. Making it all the way through Team Rocket's Idiot and beating Giovanni only to dig out before nabbing the Self Scope, Bird Jesus and Helix and all the other Pokemon. And that final successful Elite Four attempt after hours and hours of grinding against them. /Apkindasad. I remember feeling pretty sentimental when the whole thing ended. Spending like a whole day to get to Giovanna's gym because everyone kept falling off that small ledge at the turn was by far the most entertainment I've had on an interactive stream. Googling the number 241,543,903 will result in tons of images of people with their heads in freezers. Somebody out there had a dream. And now it's a reality. Googling 4,636,228,756 results in the same, except this time it's washing machines. Where do you learn these things? Selling products by ending the price with $0.99 instead of clean whole numbers. My mind automatically rounds it now. If it says 14.99 in my head it's 15. They can't get inside my head. Yes. Fundraising money to make potato salad. It took us 3 days to make that potato salad. 3 days. I was at the year booth giving out tokens. That was a great day in Columbus. Howard Stern made a fortune talking to strippers on the radio, where you can't see them. To be fair, he did a lot more than talking to strippers to make his fortune. He's an entertainer and a very talented interviewer. People don't keep listening for the bimbos. It's the antics and legitimate celeb interviews. Honey, hey, look, a nest of flying thumbtacks. Bet they are hiding something. This should be the only acceptable way to describe a bee. Sting beans. Grey Goose vodka wasn't selling well, so they just tripled the price and sales went through the roof. Everybody thought, it's more expensive, it must be better and really fancy. Also, Grey Goose made their bottles so skinny and tall, so they would have to be placed on the top shelf. That's really clever. Houston Airport got a lot of complaints that it took baggage too long to get to the baggage claim and people had to wait a long time. They moved the baggage claim farther away from where you get off the airplane, and even though it took just as long, because people had to walk there, they didn't complain. It's why elevators tend to have shiny surfaces in the waiting areas. If you put a mirror by an elevator, people don't worry as much about wait times, because they can look at themselves. We really are just monkeys in shoes. A million pixel web page. That dude is a genius. But people who put ads there, wit. The people who put the first ads there sure are. Anyone who joined after a certain threshold was broken probably made a great deal. It was $1 per pixel. Start to finish. In a psychology course we were taking, we were tasked with finding a way to improve the listening ability. Tested through a multiple choice test after a lecture of little kids. What worked? Blindfolding them and letting them doodle as they listened. The doodles? Meaningless. However, they felt like they had freedom. And the only thing of slight interest was the teacher. So our class scored on average, I think, don't quote me on this, 5% higher than the other group's classes. Our class scored on average 5% higher than the other group's classes. Lily Yoyo need Godget 2017. You mother ducker. people in other countries are often more willing to be nicer to foreigners than to their own kind. Traveling around a small city in China last year, my friends and I were looking for a hotel willing to hold on to our luggage for us while we did some sightseeing around the city for the day. This can be hit or miss in China. Some hotels are willing to do it, some aren't. Except that day, we got turned down by about 3 or 4 hotels before we started to worry that we wouldn't be able to do much sightseeing. Being fluent in Mandarin, we suddenly thought, what if we decided to do a psychological experiment and play the role of helpless foreigner and see if things went differently? Sure enough, the next hotel we visited, walked right up to the front desk, and as soon as we started speaking English, the receptionist looked at her coworkers. I don't know what they are saying. My English is so bad. To my surprise, they pulled out a phone, called up their off-duty manager, and handed the phone to me. She spoke English, and so I explained to her what we wanted. She immediately said yes. Of course we can hold on to your luggage for you. Enjoy your time sightseeing. This experience alone speaks volumes. But I've seen plenty of other stuff in my travels to suggest that locals can be downright nasty to their own countrymen sometimes. And those same people often are willing to pull out all the stops to accommodate foreign visitors. I have no idea why this is. Probably due to the perceived helplessness of being a foreigner somewhere else leads to the locals being empathetic to your situation. If you are seen as a local, or whatever, then most people will say you should have been responsible and had a plan beforehand. True. I guess as a local they think you should know your hit and shouldn't need help, or maybe they think you'd have ulterior motives. But still, even in cases where their own countrymen could be considered foreign, from another province or opposite side of the country, people are still usually reluctant to help too much. I'm speaking for countries in E and Asia that I've traveled to. I think this trend is actually reversed in a lot of Western countries, USA. From what I've heard, the French can be hostile towards foreigners, etc. The fumbler-ruski play in American football. For people who don't follow the sport / people who aren't American, the fumbler-ruski is a play that has been illegal in the NFL for years and was banned in the NCAA in 1992 because it is too effective. For those of you who have seen the popular 90s movie The Little Giants, the annexation of Puerto Rico is a fumbler-ruski. Essentially, the play works by having the quarterback intentionally place the ball on the ground. This is technically a fumble by the center's feet after taking the handoff snap, then faking a running play in one direction. While this is happening, a guard, another offensive lineman, picks the ball up and runs in the other direction. As dumb as it sounds, the play works because it's almost impossible to read a fumbler-ruski as it's happening. Obstructed vision of what the quarterback does combined with quick timing of the intentional fumble means that you can't really see that he's done it. A defense would pretty much need to know it's coming to stop it. By the time the defense realizes what's happened, the ball can get pretty far downfield. Depending on how close to the end zone they were, it often results in a touchdown. They made that illegal? That sounds awesome. There's a legal variant called the boomerooski, where the ball is handed off between the legs. It's also technically still legal in the NFL, but the intentional fumble has to go backwards from whoever is holding it when it happens. Edit. I wanted to add on to this. Fumbling backwards as part of a fumbler-ruski ruins the play because it makes it a lot easier to tell that it's happened. Fumbling forwards allows the quarterback to make it look like the snap happened naturally and that he had the ball the whole time. Electing a billionaire to fix the system that made him a billionaire. You know, I've never heard it put quite like this. It's what they did. I work customer service and I have to say that's the most special kind of stupid I've ever seen. And I had to tell someone that they had to put their cup under the spigot to receive soda. When I first started writing Android apps, I asked myself, what do people really want? Nudes is the obvious answer. But they already have lots of ways to send nudes. I'm not going to do better than any of 100 messaging apps on my own. They want to send nudes, and for there to be no trace of them to later end up on a hitty website. So I started working out an app where you could send pictures, on the basis that they could only be seen by the intended receiver or receivers. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized this just isn't a solvable problem. Sure, maybe I could override the screenshot functionality. They could still just take a picture of their phone screen with some other camera. Can't be done, I says to myself. And I'd forget about it. The next year, Snapchat blew up. Turns out people don't need actual security. Out of sight, out of mind is nothing. But it's enough. That had not occurred to me. Turns out people don't need actual security. They need the appearance of security. The reality is apparently unimportant. Also known as security theater. You put on a security play. No one really cares to wonder if it's real. A man decided he was going to try to get a house by making a series of trades that started with him trading one red paperclip. He succeeded in his quest to trade from a paperclip to a house. Looking at the list, there are some really odd trades that make you think, what the duck, why? People would trade up just to be a part of it.